Well, good afternoon. I had to think a moment there. Afternoon for me. For you, it might be good morning. Thanks for joining us for the 21st weekly financial roundtable for schools, where money isn't the most important thing in life, but it is like oxygen on the gotta have it scale. So I'm from Qnity, and we are the creators of the Money by Qnity program, which is financial success training for students, where we not only teach them how to make, manage, and understand money, but also how they can do what they love and have a great quality of life, meaning life skills are included. And how to go from what's complicated, overwhelming, and confusing to a more simple path towards financial prosperity, which also applies to you as members of our school community. Our approach is to make things simple, visual, and actionable. We understand your time is precious, so thanks for joining us today. And managing your ATM is really important. ATM is your attention, time, and money. So again, thank you for your time. We hope you have some light bulb moments today. You will have some light bulb moments. I guarantee you will, because I had a ton of light bulb moments from our guest speaker an hour ago. We just finished. And I needed a full hour just to digest all the light bulb moments in my break. So we hope you'll be able to connect some new dots for you today and have some insights that'll help you move forward. Last week's guest was Janet Williams. She was a great guest. The topic was inclusion and money. It was awesome to have Janet with us to share some of her wisdom. And this week's guest is the one and only Winn Claybaugh, sitting on that green chair, which I love that green chair, by the way. So past recordings of these sessions are on YouTube, so you're welcome to view them there. Shout out to our sponsors, starting with Pivot Point, who are our partners in our money program, and have gotten behind the money curriculum that teaches several skills that are needed by students so that they can have a prosperous future. More on this in a couple minutes. We hope you become a money school. To book a demo, you can simply go to qnityforschools.com. Also, Lightheart Sanders and Jared Sanders and his team. They've been great sponsors of this roundtable too. They're doing some great work benchmarking and doing their part to really elevate greater prosperity for school owners. So thanks for being a sponsor. You should have gotten a 9 grid, and it's one of our core visual thinking tools that's available to help you mind map or storyboard some of your light bulb moments today. So we're going to be welcoming a new member to the Brain Trust, but before we get to Winn, I'd like to see if Aaron can come forward. Hello, Aaron.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Well, Aaron, you and I just, we just hung up, and you had some insights that literally were from an hour ago, as you were onboarding 100 students in the money program. And there's some interesting insights. So I think it's relevant. We're just going to go through that really quick here. And what are some of the insights you got from the onboarding, and describe the process, a survey, et cetera?
Absolutely. So this was our first session with this student group. Just to correct you, there happened to be 97 students. Numbers do matter, as a wise man once told me. So 97 students. It was a mix of cosmetology, barber, and aesthetic students. And this was really kind of the introductory place where we have them build one of Qnity's visual thinking tools and just get excited before they start the actual money curriculum. And it was very interesting. So I kind of pulled 3 key takeaways, just so I don't take away from the brilliant guest, Winn, who's coming up, who I'm so excited to listen to. But it was very interesting because 83% of these students had received 0 financial related education prior to this course. So that was maybe surprising, maybe not surprising, but it's just always interesting to see those numbers brought to life. 68% of these students stated that they had some form of math or money anxiety. And specifically what I mean by that is meaning they had a sense of dread, fear, or angst when it came to talking about this topic. Yet 62% of these students stated that they wanted to be an entrepreneur after graduation, which, as we all know, means quite a bit of financial related responsibilities that come. So we, of course, have a very specific definition that we teach in the money program and at Qnity of what it means to be an entrepreneur versus, an independent. So I can expand on that if you'd like. Otherwise, I can keep it high level and just turn it back to you. But those are really kind of three of ones that I thought was interesting. And we continue to measure the results after the curriculum. So maybe you can have me back once this group is complete and see how those answers change.
Well, you're an easy invite, Aaron. You're part of the core Qnity community here, and so yeah, I think that is going to be great, Aaron, too. In these roundtables, just share findings as they come along. I think they're very revealing. So
absolutely,
Aaron, thanks for joining us. And
thanks,
part of Aaron joining us today is to so you fill your bucket, Aaron, because we were describing Winn. Who we just got to spend an hour with 2 hours ago. And so Winn, let's have you come forward here, my friend. We'll have Winn come off. There he's coming.
Here I am.
There you are.
How are you?
Well, you finally got to meet my daughter.
She's beautiful. How'd that happen?
Well, I married well. I'm a matrimonial overachiever, Winn. That is how it happened.
There you go. There you go. That's awesome.
One of the things that we didn't talk about, and by the way, I'm just jumping right in and I'm going to backfill a little bit, but one of the things we didn't talk about on the last roundtable you were on an hour ago is parenthood. And one of the very first things that you brought up when you and I did our prep call was I asked you really what gives you purpose. And you said 100% change when you became a dad.
Oh my gosh. And I had no idea it was going to do that to me, being a dad. I had no idea. And obviously this is later in life for me because I'm 62 years old. So to have my daughter in my 50s, now I tell her, daddy can only run up and down the street a little bit. I can buy you anything you want, sweetheart, but daddy only has this much energy. But there's lots of great gifts that come from being a parent later in life. But truly, I had no idea that being a dad would just turn me into a different human being, which I'm so grateful for. I mean, talk about, again, having purpose and having a reason to get out of bed in the morning, which if it's just to be a good dad, that's going to take care of all the other areas of my life as well.
Awesome. Well, Winn, thanks for being a guest today. And thanks for giving your precious time and for joining us for the Salon and Spa Roundtable in this one. And, you and I have known each other a very long time, and I feel honored to know you. And I've always admired you. But the admiration has reached some new peaks over the last maybe year and a half when I really started to truly understand the scope of your contribution. I have to claim a little bit of ignorance in terms of a lot of the projects that you've been involved with. And you have an amazing body of work and contribution. So I want to acknowledge you for that and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And thanks for letting me be a part of this school group, because this truly is where my heart lives in the professional beauty industry. And, if you quote me on this, I'll deny that I said it, although you're taping this. I started in the salon business first before I then got into the school business. And I'll truthfully tell you that had I not gotten into the school business, meaning had I only stayed in the salon business, I don't think I would be in the professional beauty industry today. It was getting into the school business that then gave me the passion and the purpose and the drive to love the beauty industry as much as I do. So I love to this day, 38 years later as a school owner, I love being in the school business.
I very much relate with that. And in a sense, I feel like I have been a bit sheltered. Certainly, I've interacted with schools. I've known many school owners, but it's really in the last 2 years that there's been a new injection of passion for me and Aaron and our team by getting involved with schools. So I totally understand that. You know, there's so many things you and I talked about when we were together an hour ago. And, you know, the, and I don't even need to refer to notes, but for some reason I just did, you know, look at my notes here for a moment. And, you know, you talk about just different things as it relates to purpose. All right. And I asked you, like, what is your purpose? Because you talk about purpose quite a bit. What is your purpose?
I was gifted, and I truly say it that way, that it wasn't necessarily something that I worked really hard for, although I did work hard for it. But I was gifted with the ability to have an influence, to have a circle of influence, that for some reason, and I realized early on that when I say something, when something comes out of my mouth, for some reason, people want to listen to what I have to say. Now, again, I've worked hard to perfect how I speak, you know, what makes me a good speaker, what would turn people off. And so, yeah, I've learned the skills of being a good speaker and a good communicator, because I think that that's an important quality, not just for somebody who wants to make a living at that. I think every leader, every teacher, every mentor, to be able to know how to use your words and move people, to bring out emotions in people because of the words that you use, that's a wonderful skill set to develop. But when I realized early on that I had that gift set, well, then that came with a lot of responsibility. That, okay, if I open up my mouth and people hear what I have to say, and they believe in what I have to say, I better make sure that the messages that I'm sending out truly are in line with my purpose, in line with being a good human being. And sometimes I've hit that mark, and sometimes I've been way off on that mark. But the older I get, I just understand that my purpose is that I have a large circle of influence, and I want to make sure that if somebody enters my world for 5 minutes or for 50 years, that they're going to be a better human being, not just a better person in making money or a better celebrity, you know, because there's a lot of celebrities who have millions of followers, and I don't really care what they have to say, because when they open up their mouths, what they're doing is they're doing damage. And I mean that literally. There are people who have wealth, they have beauty, they have fame, they have followers, they have a celebrity status. They open up their mouth and they do damage to this planet. And I'm very aware of that. And so I want to be real intentional with how I use my power and my influence.
You know, when I was thinking about having you as a guest, I revealed to my team and revealed sort of semi-publicly that, you know, you have done 325 master of your master series podcast. And I felt a little bit, and you've had Larry King himself talk to you about one of the best motivational speakers in the country, and you have become a master interviewer. And it felt a little bit like Joe Schmo interviewing like Larry King. And so a little intimidated, a little bit, you know, and let's talk about Larry King for a moment, because he had some influence on you. And I just learned some stuff an hour ago about some unique areas of influence. So you've had all of these guests, and somehow you met Larry King along the way. What did you learn from him, and how did you meet him?
Modern Salon Magazine called me the Larry King of the beauty industry. This was like 15 years or so ago. No, more than that. No, 25 years ago. Called me the Larry King of the beauty industry because I had interviewed so many people. And Larry King read that. His wife was sort of in the beauty industry. So Larry King read that and called me and said, I need to teach you how to be Larry King. So here, come to my house. And I went to his house, and I have the photo from that day. I had hair, by the way. And he sat me down and taught me how to be Larry King, how to genuinely bring stories out of people. Because I think, and you know this because you're a great storyteller, the best leaders and mentors and parents are storytellers. And so Larry King taught me how to bring out conversations and stories from people that, and I hear this all the time, when I've never told that story. I have never publicly told that story. How did you get that out of me? And I just think back to, wow, thanks, Larry, because you taught me how to do that.
Your book, I've known about your book for years. And by the way, the title, I mean, I called out the title, Be Nice or Else. And I thought, God, what a great name of a book. So take us to the naming of that classic book that you wrote.
Well, originally I did call it Be Nice. It didn't start off as a book. It started off as journaling. And then some friends, really good friends, convinced me, encouraged me to make it a book. And then I was lucky to have people like the Southwest Airlines president at the time, Colleen Barrett, was very, very supportive of the book. And then I had people like even Betty White, who endorsed the book. So it became something that it was more of a movement. And when Larry King found out about the book, and he actually approached me and said, "Can I write the foreword for your book?" Well, duh. But he said, but I don't like the title of the book. I'm like, oh my gosh, he wants to change the title of my book. I have that. It's tattooed to my body. I don't, right here. It says, Be Nice. He's like, so Larry, it's already tattooed to my body. He's like, I want to call it Be Nice or Else. And everybody thinks that the or else part is like a threat. It's something negative, and it's not. It's be nice or be a horrible dad. Be nice or be miserable in life. Be nice or be a bad leader. So that's what the or else part of it was. So Larry actually made that wonderful contribution.
How do you meet these people? Not like I want to go out or but how do you meet these people like Betty White, and I know the Osmonds, and you get a lot of people behind what you do.
Okay. That's a great story. And I love telling this story, and your listeners are going to love this story. You know how I get to everybody? Through their hairdresser. Because if you call Dolly Parton's agent or Dolly Parton's manager and say, I want to meet Dolly Parton, I want to work with Dolly Parton, their job is to say what? No. Their job, no, sorry, Miss Parton is too busy. The answer is always going to be no. I've never gone to an agent or to a manager. I go to their hairdresser. And hairdressers make things happen. And so that's how I met Dolly Parton and worked with her. That's how I met Betty White. That's how I met a lot of people, was through their hairdresser. And I always go that route because hairdressers make things happen. And by the way, in meeting people, I've met Dolly Parton. I've worked with her. I never asked her to get me really good seats to her concert. That's not my relationship with Dolly Parton or with Fran Drescher or with Gary Sinise. I'm not, trying to get little perks for myself. My relationship with these people is, first of all, they're good people. Because again, as I said earlier, there are celebrities who I don't want to give them a voice at all because they do damage. These are good, kind, loving, generous people. And all of them have lent their name, or they put their name on a cause, on a foundation, on a purpose that they're passionate about. So with Dolly Parton, she has what she calls Imagination Library, gives millions of books out to underprivileged kids. Marie Osmond created Children's Miracle Network Hospital. She's the co-founder. Marie has raised more money than any celebrity in history, and nobody knows that. She's raised $6 billion, and nobody knows that.
Wow.
Gary Sinise has the Gary Sinise Foundation that provides smart homes for triple and quadruple amputees, as well as for first responders and veterans and military personnel. The work that he does, he's a magical man. You're in his presence. It is humility. It is generosity. It is gratitude. It is with a servant's heart. I get emotional thinking about people like him. So those are the celebrities that I'm attracted to. And my relationship with them is only that I want to support them. Because I have a lot of things that I'm passionate about, causes that I'm passionate about. And I want to push those forward. But I can't expect that to happen if I'm not helping other people live their dreams. And so, and by the way, somebody like that, like a Gary Sinise or a Lisa Gibbons, they can make something happen by one phone call that can take me months, if not years, to accomplish. And so to have the support of a celebrity to get the job done, to raise the money, to raise the awareness. But at the same time, I need to jump on their bandwagon. I need to find out what they are passionate about. What is the book 7 Habits? Seek first to understand and then to be understood. I want to understand what their purposes are, what their missions are. I'll get behind them. I'll raise money for their causes. And to date, we've raised over $1 million for Gary Sinise. We've raised over $1.5 million for Children's Miracle Network Hospital. We've raised over $1 million for Food for Africa. So these are causes that we get behind. And as a result, we get to build great relationships with celebrities who are good people, and they can get the job done to help us reach our goals as well.
That approach of yours towards relationship building, we highlighted as it dealt with celebrities, but that's just good common sense in building relationships. Seek to understand first, find out what's important to them. We talked about culture quite a bit. We're going to be all over the place today because
that's okay. Because my ADD mind can keep up with that. I'm all over the place anyway. So
I am just, I have so many different things that even inspired me an hour ago. But in fact, one thing I wanted to go to next is you said something yesterday when we had a little bit of prep time, and what you want to be paid for and what you don't want to be paid for. Let's talk about that for a moment. I think it's a good tie into what we spoke about just now.
Yeah, thanks for asking me about that. First of all, I love the word hustle. And there's a lot of negative connotations, a lot of negative meanings to that word. And some people think that, if you hustle, that's a bad thing. I'm sorry. I hustle every single day, because the phone does not ring. I don't wait for the phone to ring. I make things happen. When I interviewed David Wagner from Masters, he told me that his salons were voted the best salons in the Twin Cities for the last 10 years in a row. And I said to him, I said, David, that's incredible. I said, who voted? He said, I did. And so I like the word hustle, meaning that we get the job done, but we do it in ways that support other people. It's not just, for ourselves. We create opportunities for other people, and collaboration is such a great thing. But the advice that I had gotten, even though I was hustling then, and I still hustle to this day, the advice that I got many years ago was to be paid for what I know and who I know, rather than only for what I do. And when I got that advice, I was getting paid only for what I did. And if I didn't do it that day, I didn't get paid. Well, that's not the life. That was fine in my 20s and my 30s, but again, I'm in my 60s. I got to work hard to have energy and focus for a lot of things. And so to be able to be smarter about how I make money and how I make a contribution, I have a lot of knowledge, I have a lot of experience, and I've built relationships. Let's get paid for that, rather than we have to do something in order to get paid.
I had an insight after the fact, which I forgot to mention earlier today after we hung up yesterday. And, this whole thing about being, hustle and building relationships. And it's really, there's a word here that just keeps jumping out, and that's ask. You're not afraid to ask. And in fact, I'm going to throw something in here real quick. I feel that's so important. One of our lessons in the money curriculum is just about ask. Ask for help. Find a financial advisor. Talk to your boss. Don't be afraid to ask.
I like that. I facilitate this physical team building exercise called Shot in the Arm. And so maybe some of the people watching right now have experienced that, because I've been doing it for almost 40 years. And part of that physical exercise, without really giving it away, is people are in a position during this event where they are forced to ask for help. And yet people will just stand there. And I keep on coming up and say, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? And they're afraid to ask for help, because we've been taught to believe that that's a sign of weakness. Mm-hmm. And again, back to that word collaboration. Collaboration is just such a beautiful thing. And when we know how to collaborate, that's when things start to happen for us. You see, if you are the smartest, most talented person working in your school, working in your business, I feel sorry for you. I really do. Because that means that you're now going to be forced to work 12-hour days, 6 days a week. A smart person knows how to collaborate. A smart person knows how to ask for help. A smart person knows they are not the smartest person, nor do they need to be the smartest person. You know, that belief system that if somebody smarter than you comes along, that somehow that threatens your future, that threatens your position in your company or your position in your business. You know, I just don't understand that. I'm not the smartest person. And oh, and by the way, Tom, I'm also not the prettiest person in my company. And I don't have to be. And yet this might ring true. People walk into a room and they look across the room and they're thinking, oh my gosh, she's prettier than I am. He's more talented than I am. And then they shrink, they diminish their own brilliance, their own talent. Why? They're comparing themselves to somebody else. Guess what? You will never, never be the smartest, the prettiest, or the most talented person. And you don't need to be. You have no control over those things. What you do have control over, I can be the most positive person in a room. I'm not the prettiest. I'm not the smartest. I can be the most positive person in a room. How far is that going to get me? So far. I can work really, 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 really hard and nobody can ever take that away from me. How far is that going to get me?
You are extremely positive, and you are a glass is half full, and it just exudes. And but that's hard for certain people. And you know, we talked a little bit about some of your rituals. I started out my last session with you by saying, what time did you get up this morning? I already knew the answer. You get up at 4 o'clock. And so you have certain rituals that you have to keep you present, to keep you positive. So let's say that you're a person that says, yeah, that's great, but that's not me. How do you remain so positive, and how do you help other people maintain positivity, especially in a very scary, complicated, topsy-turvy world we're living in?
Okay. Again, you ask really good questions. Being positive does not come naturally to me.
Wow.
I don't even mind sharing with people that being happy does not come naturally to me. Even to this day, it never has. And by the way, that used to piss me off, because I used to think, oh, okay, how many more seminars do I have to go to on happiness and self-esteem? You know, how many more books do I have to read? Why can't I coast once in a while? You know what, Tom? I can't. I know that to this day, there are certain things that I have to do every single day just to be happy, just to be positive. I know what those things are, and I do them every single day. Every once in a while, I get off track, but I'm surrounded by a very small circle of people who help me get back on track. But none of this comes naturally to me. And what I've learned and gained, fortunately, through the years, is that it takes a discipline, and that discipline does require that I do certain things and that I avoid certain things. So I avoid alcohol. I avoid too much coffee. I need a lot of sleep at night. I know that about myself. I know that I cannot watch The Real Housewives, because if I do, the very next day, I'm not going to be a nice person. I know that about myself. So why go there? I have the discipline to divorce myself from certain things. I know that toxic relationships, you know, I have a good friend, Dr. Daniel Amen from Amen's Clinics, and he has scanned more brains than anybody on the planet. And so because I have that relationship with him, people all the time are saying, hey, can you get me a deal with Dr. Amen? Can you have Dr. Amen scan my brain? Because he scans, you know, he's hired by the NFL to scan brains. He's hired by, you know, the most famous people on the planet to scan brains, right? And so people are like, you know, can you get me in with Dr. Amen? Which I think it's, I don't know, it's maybe like $5,000 or whatever to have this done. And I always ask them, Dr. Amen is going to scan your brain, and then he's going to see some things in your brain. And based on what he sees, he's going to give you a list of things that you need to change in your life. And by the way, I can tell you if there's 30 things on that list that he sees, I can tell you what 28 of them are. How about if you do these 28 things first before you ask Dr. Amen to scan your brain? And oftentimes people don't want to do those things. Like why invest the time or why invest the money? Why bother Dr. Amen if you're not already willing to do those things? So it's all about that discipline. And, you know, you and I are at a time in our lives where we know what works, we know what does not work.
Yeah. You know, you said something earlier of several different things that just really jumped out at me. Gossip, your way of describing gossip is, I've never heard it better put in 2 words.
Yeah, we call, first of all, I ask people, can gossip destroy someone? And of course, the answer is yes. And then I respond with, well, that's kind of violent in a way. Gossip is verbal violence. And you're participating in that? Why would you do that? Why are you the type of person that attracts that? People know if I have something bad to say, I'm going to say it to win. Why would you want to do that? Not just to other people, but to yourself. Why are you open and available for that? You know, here in the school business, and again, I love this audience, people are watching you. Whether you realize this or not, people are watching you. And not only are they watching you, consider who your audience is. Can I share with you, Tom, my theory about why students are in cosmetology schools are the best students on the planet? Can I just share that with you?
Please.
Okay, here's why I love the school business and why I respect our students, whom, by the way, we call them future professionals. I started that years ago, 40 years ago. Let's call them future professionals. Let's just put that mindset in their heads now. This is the journey that you're on. You're going to be a professional. Right now, you're on that journey. You're a future professional. So that's where that came from. If you are, first of all, you make the announcement to mom and dad, hey, I want to go to beauty school. That's not necessarily good news for mom and dad. Really? Really? You want to enter? You're not going to make money. I can ask an audience of 1,000 hairdressers, how many of you, when you made the announcement that you were going to enter the professional beauty industry, how many of you had friends and family members trying to talk you out of your fantasy? And almost every hand goes up. So this isn't necessarily good news. Now, if I went to mom and dad and said, I'm going to go to college, mom and dad are excited about that. They will financially and emotionally and morally support me. I could go away to college. I could party. I could make the mistakes, right? I could change my mind about what my degree is over and over and over again. And mom and dad will still support me. Why? Because I made the decision to go to a 4-year college, okay? I make the announcement that I'm going to beauty school. Mom and dad are not happy. Many times our future professionals going to cosmetology school do not have the financial support or backing of mom and dad. So here they are in our schools for a year or less. They have a lot to prove. They're only there for a year. They've got to get it right. They can't screw up. That's why they are the best audience in the planet. They are the best audience because they're so hungry. I walk into a cosmetology school and I just know my heart's open, why their heart is open. And oftentimes, because this is the audience that maybe didn't necessarily fit into traditional learning environments. Maybe they weren't the popular kids in high school, you know, because they chose the art. It's not like the drama kids are the most popular kids in high school. And cosmetology absolutely is the arts. They didn't necessarily fit into traditional college environments. So they can sometimes come to us broken. I'm amazed and heartbroken that sometimes our 20-year-old students have already dealt with addiction, homelessness, self-harm, all kinds of things. And so they come a bit broken. It's the best audience in the world, and the responsibility that we have as school leaders to create that healthy, beautiful culture is just so, so important for us. I'm not sure if I was answering any of your questions, but I just had to go on that tangent.
No, I totally relate with that. And my journey in the beauty industry came from a different angle, Winn, and you're causing me to reflect because, you know, we're having a conversation witnessed by several great people that took the time to join us today. And thank you for joining us today and having this time with Winn. My insight, the school business is relatively new to us. Okay. And my insight, I came from accounting field. Okay. And I saw how numbers were being taught to beauty professionals. And I found that spreadsheets, and I have a phrase about spreadsheets, and that is the biggest fan of a spreadsheet is the creator of that particular spreadsheet. And too much coaching and too much financial education is built upon spreadsheets. When we just heard from Aaron, at least 60% of beauty professionals are afraid of, intimidated, or have anxiety about numbers and money. And to me, what I observe, these are very, very heart-centered people that are artists and caregivers. And we're teaching, it's sort of like teaching or speaking in French to someone that you know does not understand French. Why can't we make it visual? And why can't we use a language that they understand? That was really the beginning of my passion as an educator. I very much relate with this. I want to get over to money with you. And your viewpoint on money. And we didn't even talk about that yesterday when we prepped. We never really talked about money. But I asked you the question, and I thought you had some really profound insights about money. So
thank you. And by the way, I love your sponsor, Pivot Point, because I love the commitment that they have to the school business and training our students, our future professionals on what a lot of people call soft skills, which I don't know why we call them soft skills, because when you get fired, any stylist knows, you know, when you get fired from a salon, is not because you gave a bad haircut. It's because of your soft skills. You had the wrong attitude. You were late all the time. So getting fired for those things is pretty hardcore. So let's call them not soft skills. Let's call them essential skills. And Pivot Point is great about that, as you are as well. And so when you get into the whole money sector, you know, why is that just such a scary, scary conversation for people? And it is. Especially with this young generation. Well, actually, no, not just this generation. I'm sure you know 60-year-olds who still do not have a good relationship with the conversation of money and finances and credit and no debt and living within your means. They still haven't figured that out. And so I love this conversation. But, you know, I lived that way for a very long time because I was raised to believe that for whatever reason, I don't know if it was because of being in a large family with limited resources or because of a religious reason. I don't know why, but the message that I got, I'm not saying that my parents taught this to me, but the message that I got was money or wanting money is a bad thing, right? You know, no, just, you know, do the right thing. And if they pay you well, okay, good luck with that. But to seek that out was somehow not something that I should desire, or especially something that I should vocalize. And at the end of the day, like I remember, I think it was an Oprah show where she was talking about how she wrote out a check for $1 million. She was passionate. She heard about this cause. And so she pulled out her checkbook figuratively and wrote out $1 million. And I was thinking, gosh, I wish I could do that. Not because I wished I had the $1 million, but in that moment I thought, because I can think about 5 causes right now that I would love to be able to sit down and write them $1 million because of what they're doing. And I'm sure that anybody listening to this right now, you know that there are causes down the street on another continent that they need $1 million. And for us to be able to have that kind of power is such a good thing. And I say I don't believe that money can buy you happiness, but you know what? It can buy you a better form of misery. So if you are the type that chooses to be miserable, you might as well be rich, you know, take the edge off a little bit.
You know, you talked about selling hope. And, you know, here we have school leaders and, you know, they're out there as the, you know, having this fiduciary responsibility for their students. Do you think part of a school leader's role is to sell hope to the students?
I do. Okay, let's just talk about the last 18 months. I heard someone say it's almost like God sent everybody to the room, the entire planet. Go to your room, take a time out, take a pause, and you better come out stronger and better. And we all believe that everything happens for a reason. And I have a feeling that you've all used those exact words in coaching a friend of yours who is going through some type of a struggle. Your words were, well, you know, everything happens for a reason. Well, the reason is always for our good. And the best way I know how, the simplest way I know how to share this with you is that there are two powers that rule this universe. One is fear. And fear, by the way, has many, many faces. Fear has the face of hate. We're seemingly more divided now in this country, on this planet, than ever before. You would think that after this many years, we would be tearing some of those walls down, and we have, but we built some new ones in the last 18 months. You know, masks, no masks, vaccination, no vaccination, social unrest. There's a whole bunch of new fears that divide us. Fear has the face of bad manners. The pandemic brought out the worst in people. At the beginning of the quarantine, there were people in the grocery store fighting over a roll of toilet paper. It brought out the worst in people. Fear has the face of giving up your dreams, settling for less. There are cosmetology students who all of a sudden they had to be switched to a virtual educational experience. And so because of that, they kind of gave up on their dream a little bit because they can't physically be in the school. They're doing finger waves on their dog at home, right? So they've given up on their dream a little bit. And so you better believe our goal, our purpose, our mission as school leaders, as owners, as directors, as teachers, is to sell hope. Because the opposite of fear is love. And love has many faces as well. And one of the faces of love is hope. So when we can be that beacon of hope, oh, and by the way, you don't have to wait until you don't feel that fear before you sell hope. You don't have to be in that position like, well, I'm not impacted by the scariness of this pandemic, the scariness of what's happening on this planet right now. You don't have to overcome that before you can now start being that beacon of hope, being that person who is out there selling love rather than the fear.
Very wise words. Yeah, very wise words. And, you know, there's so many other things that jumped out at me, and some of the things you said earlier, and we talked about collaboration, and you talked about, I wrote this one down too, was as it relates to relationships. If you want to go fast, do one thing, and if you want to go far, do something else. Right. Talk about that for a moment. Fast versus far and how it relates with relationships.
Yeah, it kind of ties into what we were talking about before, that you don't have to be the smartest person. If you want to go far, as they say, if you want to go far, or I'm sorry, if you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to go far, go with a group of people, collaboration. Because there's that bad advice that people gave us that if you want something done right, you have to do it yourself. And in the world of running a successful school, you know, between all of the different governing agencies and compliance that we have to live by, and you know, it's difficult, and so there are a lot of things that can capture your attention as a school owner, as a leader, that will then take you away from your original purpose and passion of entering the school business. And that was to make a difference in the future generation of the professional beauty industry. That was your original purpose, but then you're drawn away, you're taken away because of a NACIS audit, because of what's going on with the Biden administration, and then this new regulation from DOE. And so all of a sudden we find ourselves immersed in things that have nothing to do with what our original purpose and passion was. Not that those things aren't important, but again, we have to get back to our original purpose and passion, and that is to make a difference in the lives of the future generation. So make sure that you're surrounded by the right people. And oftentimes the reason why you're not surrounded by the right people is because you can be such a jerk to work with that nobody wants to help you out. So you're right. You do have to do things yourself because you are such a jerk. And I could use other adjectives rather than a jerk, but we'll just go with that one. And you may not be a jerk, but people can think that you're a jerk. And you need to own people's perception of you. And Tom, I could share with you a list of the reasons why people might think that you're a jerk. And it's because of those reasons that people don't want to support you. And so that's why you're drowning sometimes with all the things that can bury somebody when it comes to being a school owner and leader.
You have some anniversaries, and then you also have a new venture. So you've got a couple of anniversaries. One of them relates to your school business, 20 years, and another one's more personal in nature. Let's go through those anniversaries for a moment, if we could.
Well, I hope you don't mind my backdrop here. Of course, this is a green screen. I'm at home, and if I pulled this green screen down, you're going to see about 300 stuffed animals. Remember, I have a 9-year-old girl who has taken over my office, and she loves stuffed animals. So there you go. And I wanted to put this backdrop up, not because I'm promoting Paul Mitchell, because I'm absolutely not doing that, but just that I love the school business. And even though that's the umbrella that I stand in front of, I've been fortunate in my career to have worked with every school brand. I've done a ton of work in the Aveda world, in the Tony and Guy world, in the Vidal Sassoon world, in what I'll say are ma and pa type cosmetology schools, worked with Axe. So I love all school owners. And I want all of you out there to know that I'm a resource for you. You don't have to be a Paul Mitchell school for me to want to support you. So one of my anniversaries is that we're celebrating 20 years. So 20 years ago, January of 2021, John Paul DeJoria and I opened up our first Paul Mitchell school together in Costa Mesa, California. And now we have about 110 schools now. So that's one of the anniversaries that we're celebrating right now. So thanks for asking me about that.
Congratulations. And it was supposed to be, your goal was 7, right?
Oh yeah. There's a video of me at that grand opening, 20 years ago, a news video that says, yeah, and one day we're going to have 7 of these locations. And who knew? Having a partner like John Paul DeJoria certainly, helped out. The man thinks big.
Yeah. Tell us about the other anniversary, which is definitely more personal in nature.
Thanks. Ooh, I get emotional about it. So this month I celebrate 20 years clean off of drugs. And that's a milestone. That's an anniversary. That's a benchmark in my life that I want to talk about as much as I possibly can, because I know, back to the selling hope, I know that if I am transparent and I share that story, that it does give people hope, because people can look at me and think, well, he looks like he's doing okay. So if Winn did it, maybe so can I. And I think that, as leaders, some leaders and mentors, they only want to talk about the successes in life. They only want to talk about the accolades and the awards and the financial benchmarks. And yeah, those things are important too, because it gives people something to strive for. But we also have to talk about the times that we fell down and what it took to overcome that, because then that makes us human. And people need a connection. They need a connection with their heroes, with their mentors. And that's the stage that we're on. And we have to remind ourselves of that stage every single day. We are on the stage of inspiring the next generation. And so I talk a lot about my my world of sobriety, and there are 3 people that I connect with literally on a daily basis, and every single day we connect to keep each other on that path, to support each other on that journey of sobriety.
Like every day, seriously.
Every day.
Yeah. I think that lends well to your going far.
Yes, yeah, it does.
Yeah. You're going far by building community around that with others. So, wow. I want to move on to a new venture of yours, which I've seen in social media, and I'm insanely curious about this. And it's your entree into dog grooming.
Yeah.
And
Well, thanks for discovering that on social media, because I think I have 3 followers with that, and one of them is probably my mom. It is thank you. It is somewhat of a brand new venture, although we've been building that house for a good 4 or 5 years now, building the house of this business, which sometimes is the stuff that nobody really gets to see, but it's the important stuff of the plumbing and the electrical. And so, yeah, we've been spending 4 years with creating the FDD for this franchise and getting registered in every state and creating our systems and all of that to launch a dog grooming business. When you consider how connected they are to the beauty industry, because we graduate people who know how to cut. Barbers and cosmetologists, they know how to cut. And how many of them love animals? They love the world of animals. And so we thought, what a great idea to marry the two. And so the people that we hire as dog groomers are licensed salon professionals. So our tagline is that they're trained on humans, and now they get to work on your dog. So we have 3 locations, and getting ready to open up quite a few more, and just now getting the word out to expand that. So we're looking for wonderful entrepreneurs who want to be a part of this very, very exciting journey with us. And if you check just the statistics of what's happening in the world of dog grooming and pet care, and I mean, how many people got pets during the pandemic? I mean, it boomed like crazy, and a lot of people consider their pets as a family member, and so it's a very, very exciting industry to enter.
well, I had seen it, but I didn't learn until it was not 2 hours ago when you said who the staff is, and I was like, wow, that's really amazing. And to your point about animals, I was in several seminars. We had a series of seminars we did over a period of years. And there was a point in the seminar where I just asked how many people love dogs. And of course, 80, 85, 90% of the people raise their hand. And then I say, all right, so how many of you love dogs more than people? And about 80, 85% of people raise their hand. It's just, I'm like, you guys are sick, and I actually read somewhere that I think some percentage, I don't have the statistic, but some percentage of people report that they love their pet more than their siblings, So there's just something about pets that really make the heart sing. And I certainly learned it from my wife. I mean, she's a dog lover. We have dachshunds, and she thinks they're like potato chips. You can't just have one, so.
Oh gosh.
So anyway, I already did.
We have a dachshund as well. I'm not sure if I should tell you what his name is though.
Please do.
Oh gosh, his name is Pecker.
Our dog's name is Gracie, which, by the way, is the name of my mother-in-law. May you rest in peace. So every day we have little Gracie in our house. That's awesome. I could talk to you all day. I'm looking at the clock here. I guess we got to end this thing, Winn, but I have so appreciated our time with you. Please, if you haven't already given Winn a shout out in the chat, please do. His sharing is absolutely incredible. You're so human. You're so authentic. You so bring things back to authenticity, which I love about you, and I know everyone else does. I have probably about another 20 topics for you, and I'm going to throw them all away. And fortunately, I don't have a candle in my office because I would have just started a fire here. But you are a good man and you are a gentleman for joining us today, and I much appreciate you. If we could all give Winn a virtual loud round of applause, thank you very much. And then I do want to award you, now you have your second official membership into the Brain Trust with your $1 million light bulb, which will be forthcoming. I did mention, I'm going to throw this out to our audience today, which, by the way, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to give our participants a shout out in just one moment here. Mark your calendars, everybody. May 15th, we are going to do a celebration of light bulb moments. It is going to be an event. It is going to be a big event. It's going to be super cool. It's going to have a give back element to it. We will talk about it in 2 weeks. Speaking of 2 weeks, we're off next week. We are going to be at the PBA Executive Summit, and then Winn and I have a Beauty Changes Lives board meeting. So we're off next week, then Thanksgiving. So Michelle will put in the chat. Oh, she already did. Michelle is like a mind reader. I got to tell you, she's just a mind reader.
She's smarter than you, Tom. Remember, she's smarter and prettier than you. So thank God you have Michelle.
I will grant you that. Now you add Aaron to the mix, and then you've got both of them are smarter and prettier than me. So, but let's talk about smarts for a moment, okay? And you say you're not the smartest person in the room, whatever. I have a slightly different point of view on this, and it's a quote by Will Rogers that I've repurposed in many different ways. Will Rogers said, "Everyone is ignorant, just on different subjects." I think we're all super smart, just on different subjects, So you are super smart, and we all have our lane. That's the same thing with like Aaron and Michelle and myself, is I think we're all smart, just in different subjects. And with you and your team, no doubt that you have an amazing team you work with that you've assembled, and I'm sure you're super proud of them. So congratulations on that. Let me see if I've got any wrap up slides here in order for me to do my job. And by the way, I love this chair. You got to tell me where you got the chair. And I love it's green too. Anyway, so we awarded the light bulb moment here. We hope all of you got some light bulb moments today. We also hope you become a money school. You can go to qnityforschools.com to book a demo. Closing thoughts. I had a closing thought here. I think that courage is a big part of who you are, Winn. You've got a lot of courage. And I'm going to end with a quote from a work of Shakespeare. Cowards die many times before their death. The valiant taste of death but once. So here's to a courageous guy.
Thank you. I'm honored.